G'day, Sea-Dog here. Welcome to my channel for high school drilling students.
Okay, students, welcome to our next little video on our little hidden pencil project, which is this one here. And in this video, what I'm going to do is just show you how to safely and carefully glue in our tube into the hole here. Okay, so we've drilled our hole using the 4-jaw independent chuck, and we're going to glue that tube there, into the hole. So how we're going to do that, we're going to use this stuff here. Okay, this is 5-minute epoxy adhesive. There's a part A, this one here, which is what we call the resin, and a part B, this one here, which is what we call the hardener. When those two are mixed together, there's a chemical reaction that occurs, and that reaction causes the glue to harden, and it's an extremely strong form of adhesive, and it's perfect for gluing our tube into our piece of wood. So what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is get our tube, and I've just got some 120 grit wet and dry here, and I'm going to rough up the surface, the whole surface of our tube. The reason for that is it's going to assist the epoxy resin to glue better, to glue stronger, adhere better to the tube. It's increasing the surface area of the tube, which therefore increases the strength of the bond, and it's giving like scratch marks for the glue to hook into as it dries and holds our tube in. Got a bit of dust on my paper here. Alright, now, safety time. Okay, I'm going to get these gloves, black nitrile gloves, put one on each hand. Please don't blow these gloves up into balloons. Please don't fill them with water to make udders. Okay, they're actually quite expensive. Just use them for the purposes intended would be good. Although I must admit it is tempting and it is fun, but we're not going to do that. Okay, got our gloves on. Now this stuff here, Mr. Voss, our head of learning area, told me about a fellow who actually had a really bad experience with using epoxy resin. Now most of us, including me, I've used it a lot and treated it basically with a fair bit of contempt, as if it's basically completely safe. It is not. Okay, we need to treat it with respect. So Mr. Voss told me about a fellow who did his work and meant that he had to use a lot of this. Never used any gloves and had this on his fingers and hands all the time. Started to become sick, went to the doctor. Eventually they found out that this stuff was the cause, and they were able to prescribe him a medication for dealing with the symptoms that he had. The problem with that is that the side effect of the medication caused his body to retain moisture, and he blew up like a balloon. Had to stay on the medication, otherwise he'd die, but the medication, the side effect was that he blew up, and that's a really uncomfortable position to be in. So we want to just make sure we do our very best not to get this anywhere on our skin. So use the gloves, okay? Alrighty, we've roughed that up, we know it fits in the hole. Okay, we can do what we call a dry run. Perfect. We need to mix an equal amount of this glue up, okay? So I'm going to put my part A first, the resin, and just put like a 20-cent piece size worth, maybe a bit smaller, on my bit of scrap paper here like that. Okay, then what I'm going to do next to it is put my part B, which is the hardener, on next to it, like so. So that allows me to see that I'm getting more or less an even amount of each of the two parts onto my bit of paper here. This is just a scrap bit of wood that I chopped up from woodwork. Going to mix him up. You need to work fairly quickly because it's the quick set adhesive, 5-minute adhesive. Takes longer than 5 minutes to dry really, but it sets in 5 minutes. It starts to go hard, so we need to move fairly quickly. So that's looking pretty good and mixed now. Beautiful. Now, I need to carefully get as much of that epoxy resin into the hole. So I'm just going to dribble it in like that and turn the piece of wood as I go. Put lots of it in, like that. Okay, then I've also prepared just a bit of scrap 1/4 inch rod, 6mm rod, and I'm going to put that in all the way and just rotate the bit of wood around it, because we want glue to cover all the surfaces inside that hole, okay, because it's got to be completely dried. So you need to take time to look down the hole and just see there that the glue it's wet. That inside that hole should be wet all the way around, and that's looking pretty good now. Okay, another little trick. When I put my tube in, I'm just going to put that in like that, and I'm going to get some of this glue here and just put the glue around the whole pen, around the whole tube, right up like that against the wood. That way, as I twist this and push it in, it's actually drawing the glue with it, so that it's helping to ensure that that glue is completely covering all of the surfaces of that tube and of the hole as well. So that's looking good, and he's ready to set aside to dry. So I'm just going to put him down to dry. What I'm going to do with this is throw the bit of wood away, throw my mixing bit of wood away. Going to give that a bit of a clean, because I'm going to reuse that. Put that in there, and so that other kids are not getting glue all over them, I'm going to put this straight into the bin. Okay, I'm also going to take my gloves off because they've got a bit of glue on them, and put the whole lot into the bin, because if I leave glued covered bits of paper around, other students are going to get glue on it, and we don't want that.